New standards have been set for alcohol-based hand sanitizers in South Africa. The South African Bureau of Standards issued the regulations in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. A minimum 70% alcohol content is required if ethanol or isopropanol is the main ingredient. Joining me now to discuss this is Jodi Scholtz from the South African Bureau of Standards. A very good afternoon to you, Jodi, and thank you so much for your time. If now there are new standards for alcohol-based sanitizers, is that essentially implying that the standards were not good enough before COVID-19?
Good afternoon, Morena, and thanks for the opportunity. So SANS 490 is, and the amendment has been published, talks to a number of changes to the standard or amendments to the standard. So previously we've had the standard, it's a voluntary standard that the changes now include the specifications as outlined by the World Health Organization and by SAPRA in terms of this percentage alcohol. So it's not a new standard, it's an amendment to the existing standard. Just as a public, we are kept safe.
So it's, again, the question remains that the standards were okay, that the sanitizers that were in place going into COVID-19 were okay.
Yes, so what we've done in the new standard is we've specified additional tests which weren't in the previous standard. So for instance, if you're wanting to test for fungicidal efficacy, viral efficacy, all of those have now been included, and it specifies the kinds of tests that manufacturers have to be subjected to in order to get the standard.
Jodi, did the SABS perhaps find that there were different, or perhaps a number of sanitizers, the products, the manufacturers who were not adhering to the standards that had already been in place?
Yes, so we've worked quite closely with the National Consumer Commission when we've had consumer complaints. Our mandate is voluntary testing. So manufacturers volunteer to have their products tested with the South African Bureau of Standards. And then the NCC, the National Consumer Commission, they actually have the mandate to go out and inspect and seize these products and then send them for testing. So we have come across a number of manufacturers who have been using products that have now, in the new standard, like methanol, methylated spirits or acetone, these are not allowed in hand sanitizers or alcohol-based hand drops.
We know that there's been widespread corruption, in the period of COVID-19, where PPE at least is concerned. Have we perhaps seen the same kind of thing where sanitizers are concerned? Have we seen, people trying to take a shortcut in the development of sanitizers?
Yes, unfortunately, that has been the case. We list the approved manufacturers that we test on our website, and currently there are about 25 manufacturers who produce locally and subject themselves to the test. But unfortunately, there have been manufacturers who have been using, for instance, methylated spirits or acetone to make hand sanitizers instead of ethanol or isopropanol.
Jodi, I don't know, just before I let you go, I don't know if you guys are, are able to persecute or hold people accountable for trying to cut corners where sanitizers are concerned, but what are some of the, the consequences of developing, products that are not of proper standards?
So these are voluntary standards. Where they are compulsory standards, it's the National Regulator for Compulsory Specifications. But what we do is we invoke the powers of the National Consumer Commission and ask them to seize products, to test, and they have the power actually to do product recalls. So I think there's a close working relationship with them, and they would then take those processes further.
Jodi, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. That is Jodi Scholtz, who is from the South African Bureau of Standards.